Welcome to episode 8 of the Prepared Performer podcast. Hello, Prepared Performers. Welcome back to another episode of the Prepared Performer podcast. Today you are in for a super special treat. My really good friend Sean Hankinson is here, and he has loads of experience as a performer, but he has had an especially successful portion of his career, which is in voiceovers. And that is something that I know nothing about. And so we are having him here to tell us all about it. I can't wait for you to meet him. He's really funny and charming and fancy. And he's the voice of Ken on Barbie's Dream House, which is just one of his many credits, but that's one of my favorite because my kids watch the show and then I get to be like, Sean is in my living room. So here he is, Sean Hankinson.
Yay! I don't even know if I was on for that whole time, but if I was, I'm sorry if I was picking my nose or like that kind of
With
thing.
voiceovers, you don't have to worry about that, right?
No, exactly. I could look like I could be what if I was just like a gremlin or something, but playing like this dreamboat of a man? That's the thing about voiceovers.
I love it. Okay, so Sean and I went to college together at Chapman University. You guys, some of you know that my favorite show is She Loves Me, where we did that together. I was Amalia with our pad.
Yeah. And it's coming to Broadway again, and you're going to come out here and see it?
I am. I'm so excited that when is it coming?
I don't know. It's sometime soon. I'm pretty sure. I thought it was a Christmas show, kind of like They were going to try and put that around there, but I don't know with Laura Benanti's schedule.
There's been talk of it coming to Broadway for a while because Kate Baldwin was going to do it also. It didn't happen. But,
I love Kate Baldwin. She is so amazing.
You guys, if you don't know Kate Baldwin, go listen to her albums because she's ridiculous.
Yeah, you can literally, her voice is like God. I mean, Big Fish too. Oh
yeah, she was. Yeah. So that's a really good place to listen to her as well. Her husband, Graham Roat, is super talented too. I did She Loves Me with him. And they are both just amazing. And they have a baby too. They're working parents. What? Okay.
Which is impossible.
I know. How do we do it? Okay, let's get into the good stuff. So how did you start working in voiceovers? Because that's not
I'm an exception to basically like when I coach, I always say this is a 75% rule. This is the way that the industry works. But that's why I always preface things with 75% because there's always exceptions to every rule. People will say like, don't go into an agency. And then someone will have gone into an agency and like got an agent. Weird exceptions to the rule. So it's rare to say this, but I'm an exception to the rule with the voiceovers. When I was 15, I was on a trip that I met. I did Peter Pan when I was 14. The woman that played Wendy lived in LA, and she was like, come visit. I did. I don't know why my mom let me go and do that, but I did. And her husband is a huge voiceover actor. He was the voice of Danny Phantom in Danny Phantom. He's Jimmy and Superman. David Kaufman, fantastic voiceover actor. And he was like, hey, come to ICM with me and see the place. And I was like, okay, cool. And I showed up and I'm just like, a kid in a candy store. And then they're like, hey, you want to go in and read in the booth? And I was like, are you kidding me? I think I just peed a little bit. And I went in and did this spot and left. And I'm at the airport and Lisa's running down the terminal back when you used to be able to go into terminals. That's how old I am. Running down the terminal like, you're not going. She goes, you booked this Nike campaign. So I booked this like crazy Nike campaign when I was 15 because I just happened to be sitting in ICM when my friend like convinced an agent to let me read. It was crazy. And then I didn't really do anything else. And same thing happened for voiceovers again, where like I had a friend that became a voiceover agent and randomly was like, you want to go in for the voice of Ken? And I was like, yeah. And then,
so at that point, when you went in for the voice of Ken, what were you doing? Where were you living? Like, tell me about that.
Yeah, I was in Studio City. I was just pursuing acting, and I had not
pursuing more film TV stuff. Like what?
Yes, yeah. I'd like done a whole bunch of theater, got my equity card, and then immediately decided I don't want to do this because I thought that by doing theater, I wouldn't be able to do film and television, and that was a very naive mistake. I think work begets work, and if you're working on stage, you can work on screen, you can work everywhere, just work. You know what I mean? No matter what.
Awesome advice.
Yeah, so even if you're doing like student films, just work. And once you start saying like, oh, I'm too good for that, I think you shut down a lot of, you get in your own way. So I feel that I was just open at that moment in my life to my friend who was like, okay, you want to do this? And I was like, sure. And see, she actually, it was a couple of other jobs first. She was like, oh, I'm doing voiceovers now. I think you got a great voice. Like, why don't you do this? So it was someone coming to me. And then I went in for Barbie, and it just like, click, 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 click. I went through 9 levels of testing, and producers were just, oh, and you look like Ken. And I was like, that doesn't matter in voiceover. They're like,
but I'm a gremlin.
Us, but I'm a gremlin. No, but it was important to Mattel. It's not always important to every brand, but I think with Mattel, I think they want to make sure that like if someone happened to look up an actor, they look similar to what they're playing. So like if you look up
interesting about that, which I hadn't thought about, like even, you know, since I do have kids, with watching like Bubble Guppies, let's say on, which is a cartoon for those of you.
I love Bubble Guppies. I'm not gonna lie.
You too. Really awesome music. I didn't know about it until.
Yeah. I think it's like, Bubble Guppies, you're the one. Bubble Guppies. Like it's something stupid. The original Bubble Guppies. I'm talking way back because I knew a girl.
Guppy Guppies.
That's it. That's it. I'm singing the Parent Trap theme song, aren't I?
You're the one. You make playtime. Rubber Ducky. That's what you're saying.
Oh, that's Rubber Ducky. But yes, my friend went in for Bubble Guppies, and she did that. It was insane for a while there. We were watching it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, but so what happens when you're watching it on, because we canceled cable and we only have Amazon now and Netflix, but if you're watching it on there, on the bottom of the screen, if you pause it, the people who are playing the voices, their pictures will pop up. Did you know that?
Oh my, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it'll tell you if you're like in the middle of a movie, it'll pop up with who the actors are that are on the screen right then.
Oh. Well, maybe it's because nowadays, unfortunately, like as a lot of places in the film and TV side of the industry has basically more celebrities have taken over every job, because now there's so many more levels of celebrity now. There used to be like movie stars and TV stars, and that was kind of it, and models. And now there's like reality stars and web stars and YouTube stars and Broadway stars, and like they go so many different places that now they're looking for a lot of those type of people to like spearhead projects.
Right, or Instagram stars or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything. Vine stars, Instagram stars. I mean, you know, and I think that back in the day, like singers, songwriters would stick to that. They didn't really cross over too much into film and television. And now you're just a celebrity. You know what I mean?
Now also, like you just said earlier, now just work.
Yeah, exactly. Now that's even more important for working actors to just accept all kinds of work, because we don't know when we're going to get hired to do anything, you know? And so I think that, work. And that if that means create your own content, that is super important as well.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Okay, so you got the voice of Ken.
I got the voice of Ken, yeah. And then immediately I started basically like a 5-year deal with doing the Life in the Dream House. There's lots of different offshoots of Barbie. So there's like rock and roll series and different stuff like that. And there's a guy in Canada that basically does all the voices of those. Of course, like my first day recording for Ken, Life in the Dream House, I was like, so who's this other Ken? And how do I kill them? And they're like, oh, we love him so much. Don't do that. And I was like, oh, you're taking me as serious? Like, you really thought I was going to go kill him? Like, no, I just want to do as much work as possible. But yeah, no.
Together.
I'm sorry, say that again.
We should do a show together, like the Kens.
The Kens, the two Kens, and it's just the same voice. It's like, what? Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go back, and Sean's going to tell us, like, he also does coaching now, which is awesome. But we're going to go back and he's going to show us his microphone, his little thing that his little voice box thing. What's that called?
Basically, it's just like a portable studio. Okay,
his portable studio. But before we do that, so up until recently, when you hadn't done much with Ken, right? Like what?
Right.
So to explain that, and then I'm going to show the new thing that you just did.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, okay, so two things. I feel like to go back to like that 75% of what most people have to do to become voiceover actors is basically you have to have a demo reel. You have to have a demo reel, and you have to have an agent, and that's super important. A lot of people jump into demo reels prior to training, or they'll like, I want to do a voiceover acting, so I'm going to take this class that's about getting a demo reel. And it's like, no, I think that learning the art of voiceover is important prior to getting the demo reel and prior to going into that track. I would suggest people train. And in Los Angeles specifically, there's places like Voicecaster that are really, really great training grounds. They offer a lot of classes. I took classes there personally. They're casting directors as well, so they have a better eye and a better gauge on that. I don't always suggest people train with casting directors because I tend to feel that like film and television casting directors don't necessarily work with you. They're just looking to see how talented you are right then, whereas the voiceover casting directors tend to really want to work with you.
That's cool.
And so that's cool.
That's
Voicecaster's a great place. And that's voicecaster.com. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, what is it? Yeah, I took their commercial classes, and then I was quickly elevated into their like advanced group that goes and yeah, because I'm amazing. No, I'm joking. I hit my glasses right when I did that. No, but it's just people that are treating it like a profession. Quick tips, like for I'll quick tip for people that are looking to get into voiceovers that don't really have the money to train every day. Reading out loud every day for 15 minutes. Just grab a magazine and literally just read, copy, read, copy, read, copy out loud. Because getting used to grabbing it off the page and presenting it is half the battle.
Yes, I love that. Can you actually, do you have any vocal warm-ups for speaking, for voiceover stuff?
Well, to be honest, yeah. I mean, this sounds weird because it's like against all training in the sense of like our training, we do all this prep, but I feel I'm very strong advocate for like, if you train every day and you work on this every day, it's going to be a muscle that's there that my voice, they tend to like a little bit more raspy voice for me, a little bit like gravelier. So I don't do too much warm up because if I sit in that area of my voice too long, I lose my voice. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. That's actually, it's so important though to know your own instrument, right?
Yeah.
That makes total sense because that's like the same thing with singing, with belting or whatever.
Oh my God. Totally.
You know, I've had
like on a good day, I can hit a B flat. On normal days, I can hit A's like constantly. A is my money note. Yeah. But some good days I can hit a B flat, but I also know that I've got about how many of them? You know what I mean? Yeah, even in a good day. Yeah.
Totally. So I always say don't do too much of that. Maybe test it once before you go in, but do all the other stuff beforehand.
But what I do is there is gosh, I wish I knew her name, but someone gave it to me a long time ago. It's like an easy vocal warm up that's like a 10 minutes where she just goes like like that, and then and like just like easy wake up your voice stuff for 10 minutes. I think that 10 minutes is important to just get it loose. Don't wake up. They always say with voiceover, you can roll out of bed wearing your pajamas and do it. Sure, but you also need to just protect your instrument a little bit.
And sometimes I think too, that's about like sirens and stuff, or about checking in to see if it's even there, because, you know, even, you know, in singing, we have our passaggio, whatever your vocal break, but I'm sure that's something that happens with voiceover stuff too, that, you know what I mean? There, right? Between your different registers. So doing like, all the way through. If it cracks in the middle, and if it cracks in the middle, maybe you need to do a little more than usual.
Right, exactly. And checking in and knowing that kind of stuff. And also when you're sick, and we were talking about the demands of, you know, like when you're sick and you book a voiceover job and you don't really know when you're going in, and then they're like, you're booked, and of course you're sick. So how to know your own voice and how to manipulate your own voice. Right now, like I said, I'm in a Target commercial that's national, 3 of them right now. And I was totally sick, like completely had no voice, sick. And then I went in there and knew what tricks I do to sound like Ken, and how I can basically fake it.
Yeah, you know what? And that's true too. If you're using those muscles all the time, that they will be there when you need them. And I have found, since not performing I am actually randomly performing a lot lately, considering I have 2 kids and I run a full business here. But I'm not doing like full runs of shows where that is the only thing I'm doing. Yeah. And there were times like when I did Fiddler on the Roof, and I'm playing the Seidel, and there's that whole, she doesn't really sing much, but she sings a big matchmaker thing. And there's like some, I think it's like a D in that song, but totally sick, no problem, because I had been doing it every day and I had trained myself physically to be able to do that, and it knew where to go.
And also, like, you know where you're limited and you know where to pull back. Like, so if like you are sick, you're not going to like go for the B flat. You're going to maybe, you know, float it, or you're going to do other tricks that, you know, so you don't blow your voice out and have nothing for the rest of the show.
Or save it for the places where you need it.
Exactly. Right? And like, okay, well, it's the last act of the, you know, and then we go home.
Right.
So I have
one more question about warming up. What about, tongue twister type things? Do you have any favorite?
Oh, I always rest on the ones that I knew when I was like 8. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
So it's
no,
like Betty bought a bit of butter, but said she this butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter,
I don't know
it's just
that.
like, you don't know that? Betty bought a bit of butter. Betty bought a bit of butter, but said she this butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. So Betty bought a bit of better butter and put it in her bitter batter to make the bitter batter better. And I don't know why I like that one, because B's really help me.
It has B and T in there a lot, so it's good because it switches back and forth.
The one that's really hard for me, always hard for me, is S's. And then when I do too many S's, I get kind of like, I'm not saying it right. And then I get kind of panicky. And then all of a sudden I'm a little bit lispy. All of a sudden I'll be like, my mouth doesn't work. So I have to be careful about doing too many tongue twisters, because I get so aware of my tongue that then I'm like, you know. So, but I do enjoy that.
Interesting. Yeah. I love it. I just learned some new ones from my voice coach, Andrew Byrne, that are not necessarily tongue twisters, but they've been really great for me. I'm obsessed with tongue placement and singing, but they are to make these. There's 4 different noises you can make, and you want to do it super even, and it actually helps open up different resonations places in your voice, because it connects to your cranial nerves. Super weird and really nerdy, not nervy.
I love this.
But okay, so
what are they?
I want to know them. I like love them. The first one is to make he calls it a hi-hat. So it's like that kind of a noise. So it's a little TS, like Seidel, speaking of her. So you just go. And more than just waking up your tongue for being able to speak differently, it wakes up different places in your brain, like focus wise. It's cool.
Oh, wow.
The next one is called a chipmunk, and it goes like this. So it's kind of like a little chipmunk. You put your mouth back.
Okay.
Yeah. The next one is a cluck. But for me, I moved my chin a lot when I did it. Yeah. So see how much you're moving your chin? So hold your chin down like this. So put your hand on this part of your chin, and right under your lip.
Oh, wow. That's really hard.
Yeah. And so if you need to slow it down, and it's cool, actually, you guys, the other thing about Sean is that he has like the most ridiculous singing voice ever, but he for reals, he doesn't want to do musical theater really, which drives me.
I think I'm just afraid, to be honest. Yeah. And I think that that's something I try and teach, like no fear and stuff. But I think that somewhere when we were doing musical theater, I was just fearless. I was like, I don't care. I got this, and I was like, I'm going to sing. And then somewhere I took that tiny break where I said that I didn't want to do theater anymore, because I thought I wanted to do TV and film. And I took like a year or 2 off, and I lost that musical theater competitive edge. All of a sudden I felt like I'm too old to not know what I'm doing, and I'm too old to be a mess in the room. And there is something to that once again, I said, once you stop exercising that, you lose confidence, you lose everything. I'm gaining it back, and I do. Yeah.
Awesome. I think also you've made a good point, because I always want Sean to play Elder Price. And but he's like, but I know my instrument, like in order to keep it up to that crazy skill, I would have to make major lifestyle changes where I go to bed at 8 o'clock every night, or Yeah,
go to bed and then not drink. And I mean, kids are like, oh, what? But I mean, you can't I couldn't enjoy life as much when I was. But the thing is, that was also, I've noticed a difference in my voice by coast, Los Angeles to New York. In Los Angeles, for some odd reason, if I drank, I would have no voice. Like, it would just kill my voice. Whereas in New York, I can drink until the skies come home and still scream high notes. Now, I haven't been.
That means you can only do Book of Mormon on Broadway.
And it's like, and I don't know if I have 8 shows a week. I think that that's something that is I think that celebrities that come to Broadway, like Jennifer Hudson's on Broadway right now, and people that come to Broadway, they think like, oh, I got this, I can sing. And it's like, yeah, but do you have 8 shows a week with 1 day of rest? You know what I mean? It's like, not a lot of people do, and that is something that you have to condition yourself to. And I think I'm really honest when I say, like, I think I have a good voice. I definitely do, but I think it's a limited time only at this point. So maybe
but I think it's in there if you want.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, the last little exercise. So you're supposed to do these to like keep them super.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the last one is a sound like a K, but it's not plosive, so there's no air. Just like this. Yeah, and keep the front of your tongue down. Yeah.
Wow, that is weird.
They're crazy, right? So you want to get them super even, and if you have to slow it down to get them to be really, really even, it just helps you to have more control over your tongue. I'm obsessed with tongue placement. It's so weird, but
I love that.
yeah. Anyway, those are my little whatever tips, but I like your butter one. I'm going to learn that.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys do. So Sean, tell us about how you went from not doing Ken for a while, and then all of a sudden this national commercial came up.
Yeah, no, literally, it's just producers that like me. And so, that's important.
No big deal, but I think you did a lot probably while you were recording to make sure you enhance.
Yes. And I think that's important also, is that being gracious and understanding. I think after 5 years of recording a voice for a series and like Netflix and YouTube and music videos and apps and all the different stuff we did, it's easy to get comfortable and be like, oh, well, I'm great. You know what I mean? And I changed coast, and they hired me still. They brought me out to LA. They flew me. They went the extra mile for me. So it'd be easy to just be kind of like, I got this. Yeah. But I never was, because that's not in my nature. And I think it's important to stay humble and understand that, like, you never know when the next job's going to come or who's going to give it to you. So it was really cool. I got this call randomly out of the blue. They were like, we contacted this producer and she said, you're the go-to for this. And I wrote her and was like, oh my God, thank you so much. She was like, I love you. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know. I love you.
That's awesome. Okay.
So it's one of those things that's really cool. And, in the meantime, I've done lots of commercials and like random stuff that no one even knows I'm doing. So, because that's the thing of voiceover work. You never know when they're working.
Yeah. Right.
Not even my family. Like I told you, my brother and his wife were watching the latest Targets, and they're like, we know it's you, but you throw your voice really well. And I'm like, okay. Whatever that is.
Let's watch it. Where's the screen share? Okay, I'm gonna try screen share this. Let's see what happens.
It's quick.
It's super quick. Yeah. Okay, ready? Here we go. I'm gonna make it full screen. Oh nope, that's not full screen.
That's pretty much it.
But that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a couple more different versions of different stuff out there, but it's really fun. And if people want to watch more of that, they can go to barbie.com/dreamhouse.
Or even, no, I can't get out of here. Hold on one second.
Or go on Netflix, or,
website, you guys.
Or go to my website, aboutshawn.com.
Sean.com, and he has loads of info of all his stuff that he's done there. But those videos are right there on top.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Okay.
You want to learn about this?
What? Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, so basically, as a lot of voiceover actors are on the go, and mics are portable. Like you can take this apart and put it in a little makeup bag and then be on your way. But it's always going to have like an echo effect, and that's why they always say like go into a closet with a whole bunch of like clothes, because it dampens your noise and make sure that your floor is less dirty. And what that means is that when you're not talking, the mic is picking up all the noise, and it wants to be as quiet in the room as possible so that they're not having to compete with that noise to get your voice clean. So in an effort to do that, I did a lot of research and found that there were portable studios that you can spend a whole bunch of money and pay someone, or you can do it yourself. And basically, this is my example. You buy the foam online. You can buy it I think this is triangle. It's triangle foam that you can buy as if you were putting together an actual studio, but you can buy pallets of this by 4 foot by 4 foot, and it'll be delivered to you, and you could just buy one and then cut it up is what I did. So obviously I just cut it to size. And then outside of that, this is just one of those cubes you buy at Target.
Yeah, perfect.
And so you can basically put this together, and if you want to, you can drill a hole in the bottom of it if you're putting it on a stand, so you can stand with it, and then you just put your mic inside. I don't know if you can see that. Can you? Okay. So you put your mic inside and then you do everything into it, and then it dampens the noise so you don't have to find like a closet if you're in a hotel room or something along those lines.
That is so awesome. So
yeah.
I think I told you this before, but when I was on tour, and when I was on tour with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and then also working at the Fireside, both of those casts had people who did voiceover work, and they would go in their closet with their microphone.
Do it. Yeah. It's so cool. But this is like an alternative in case you don't have a closet or you still have an echoey effect. You can just like collapse this, and it's like a bunch of stuff you can just put in a roller bag at the bottom, and then
it's also consistent so that it's not like if you're on tour and you're in a different closet each time, you don't have to, that's cool.
Exactly. And it also helps in case if you don't want to build it in studio or you don't always want to do it in your closet. Like if you know, in LA, I was able to just do it on my couch. It was randomly like I was in a weird sweet spot and I could just put it on my couch and sit there and do everything. But
that's where you would do stuff for actual jobs that you had or for auditions?
Yeah, because the thing about voiceover work is that it's impossible to get in. Like I said, that 75%, it's like the thing about voiceovers is that actors age. So like I can't play an 18-year-old anymore because I'm not 18, because my face doesn't show me as 18. But when you're a voiceover actor, you can be 18 until you're like 60, or until your voice just starts to crumble. It's whatever your voice is, your voice. So these people never age out. So they've got these huge resumes. So producers all want to work with them. I did a spot for Palm Wonderful, and it was 4 20-year-old dudes, all in like a grocery store being like, where's the beer? Near the beer? All that kind of stuff. And I was in a booth with 4 like 70-year-olds. It was me.
Gosh, no way.
It was me and 4 70-year-olds playing these young 20-year-olds. And the casting director was like, oh my God, thank God, when I showed up, because she was like, I just wanted to make sure I got one that was at least young. You know what I mean? To counterbalance this, because they had producers in the room, and producers start to doubt the casting director if all of a sudden everyone in the booth is 100 years old, kind of a thing.
Right.
And they start to doubt themselves, like, does he sound young? I don't really know. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, power suggestion. And so with voiceovers, though, you have to make your own work, and you have to put yourself up for the cheap jobs or the free jobs when you're first starting. And you can go to voices.com or voice123, and you can submit your voice for jobs. And most of the time you actually have to record the audition as if it were something they were buying. So the more you buy a mic, you buy a studio or set up a studio.
What mic do you recommend?
What I have is an Audio-Technica mic. It is a condenser mic, and it's got the USB, so it plugs right into my computer. It's not the best mic. And I found that out when I moved to New York, and I went to the voiceover lab with the SAG voiceover lab, which is unbelievable. It's this gorgeous studio that you can go and like rent. If you're in the union, it's really a great way to utilize those resources for free. But they were telling me the difference between mics and stuff, and you have to buy individual mics. I don't really have the best authority on which ones to buy.
Yeah. I know that my favorite podcast dude, Pat Flynn, who at Smart Passive Income, he's a business podcast, but he has a whole thing about podcasting and the mics for that. So
yes, and that's a different type of mic.
Would it be a similar thing for this or no?
The thing is that you want to make sure like there's all sorts of research, and I can maybe send you the PDF that I got from VoiceOver Lab, all about the differences between mics and stuff, but it's about the range and what they pick up. So like, this one picks up a huge range, and the problem is with this is it's a great mic, and they use this a lot. I can hear the street outside. That's so strong. Oh yeah. And even if it's in the box, even if I'm in my closet in the box, like it's crazy strong. So then she recommended that I get like a radio mic. So because the range is smaller,
right,
of what it'll pick up.
This mic I bought because Pat Flynn suggested it as the best one, and then it sat there for 2 years. It's like my big joke that it's like some super fancy that I never used, but I know that if I like do a test, I'll show you. If I'm talking right here, you can hear it. What if I'm talking over here? Can you hear me?
Exactly, and that's why a podcast is good, because podcast is radio. Right. So the difference is that
information for this mic, because I don't know if you noticed, but there was we have a housekeeper here today, and she was vacuuming. Did you?
Yeah. No.
Okay, so I was wondering, I was interested to go back and check and see if you could hear that while I'm doing this.
You might be able to hear it on like the floor. That's the thing, is that a lot of times when you play back video, like a recording of yourself, you can't hear the floor. But what happens if you do submit it for a job, they'll pull it to like ungodly like highs, and they'll listen to what's on the floor. I even had a job say once, they were like, "Oh, your floor's dirty," and I was like, you can see that from here? I made like a joke, and he was like, "No, there's, you know what I mean? Like, I can't use this." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, let me try and re-record, Yeah. So obviously go to a dead room and try and do that the best you can. But even these type of mics, it's $200 investment. You could still book jobs. You could still find people that will hire you, because if they're going to pay you $25 for a voiceover, like, they don't expect you to have the best mic humanly possible.
Right.
So and it's something to test out. Like, try this and shoot for some jobs that are within shoot for every job. But if you get some jobs, you might save some money and then upgrade your studio and keep building on what you got.
The Audio Technica is the one that Pat Flynn recommends as the lower priced one. That
it's like really easy. Yeah, and you plug it in, and it just
plugs straight in. Because mine has like the problem was mine has a soundboard that goes with it, and I looked at
exactly, the condenser box. Yeah, it's like, ugh. But the good thing also to note is Guitar Center. They have like a 30-day money back guarantee or something.
Cool.
So you can go there, ask them all their stuff about their mics, and they're really knowledgeable. They're like Mac people. They all know everything. So you ask them about a mic, and you buy it and take it home, and you test it out for 30 days. And if you don't like it, take it back and get something else, and test out a couple mics and see what works for you. Yeah.
Okay, I have another interview actually in 5 minutes. I just realized.
Okay, it was great talking to you.
But so tell us where we can find you. Like, you guys, Sean is also an awesome coach. If you need help with this, he is the person to go to.
Yeah, I coach a lot of people, not just voiceover actors. I have actors that basically have been brand new, and now within a year later, they have 25 TV film credits here in New York. So it's been really a blessing. It's fun to be able to help other people. But yeah, my full name is Sean Hankinson, but my website is aboutsean.com, which is really easy. And so it's SEAN, like Sean Connery, because clearly. And I'm James Bond. And you can email me through there. It's pretty self-explanatory. Or you can follow me on any of the Twitter, the Instagram, all that kind of stuff. And I'll be good about that. I'm just my full name. So it's Sean Hankinson, SEAN, HANKINSON.
Perfect. And I'll put all the links for everything we talked about today in the show notes. And thank you, Sean, so much.
Yeah, it was so fun. And let me know. I miss you. Bye.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
Shared performers, you guys are total rock stars, and all the information from today will be down below. This is a great way. I meant to talk about this a little bit too. It's a great way to make money, like we said, while you're pursuing, if you want to be doing film, TV, or stage or whatever. It's a really awesome thing to do.
Yeah, and create your own voices. Like, come up with, find inspiration, create voices that are unique. Because while I only use my voice currently, I'm working on different characters to try and expand your marketability.
I like it.
Have fun.
Hello, Yahoo. Okay, bye guys.
Bye.